Picture this. On March 19, 1990, tiny Hobart College in upstate New York wins its 11th straight NCAA tournament, showing it is the most dominant Division III lacrosse team ever from a school that had been playing lacrosse for over 120 years, becoming a powerhouse out of nowhere thanks to great coaching and knowledge of the game. But this story goes beyond passions. It goes to a community that fought to keep their team and their rivalries together because it was that important to them. Today we're going to dive into the history of Hobart College's lacrosse team and how they became this little college that battled the big boys. Let's go. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide as you daily learn more about sports history, increasing your sports knowledge. So Hobart College is a private liberal arts college in Geneva, New York, and it started in 1882, but really hasn't grown very much throughout the years, as it only averages around 1,600 undergrads, because small is the way they like it. But that doesn't mean they didn't have big dreams. See, in 1897, Dr. Joseph Leighton, a Canadian philosophy professor, joined Hobart and introduced the campus to the game of lacrosse. Now, Leighton was already an experienced lacrosse player, having played at Toronto University, and actually, while he was at Cornell, he started the lacrosse team there in 1892. And he quickly recruited students to join his squad while he was at Hobart. And the first intercollegiate game that they played was against Cornell in 1898. And though the conditions were muddy and rainy, Hobart triumphed with a 2-1 victory over the more experienced Cornell team. Dr. Leighton didn't just serve as the coach. He was the coach and the player despite being the faculty member, because the rules back then in collegiate athletics wasn't the same as today. Anyone could really play as long as you were associated with the school. And under his leadership, they actually had their first winning season in 1902, finishing 8-7 that year, playing mainly colleges around the local area. And he coached there until 1906, laying the foundation to what would become a powerhouse. And after lacrosse was introduced at Hobart, it slowly built a reputation. And if you know anything about lacrosse, it's really heavily East Coast biased, mainly played in the East Coast. And if you've ever seen a map of all the schools in Division I lacrosse, you'll be like, where's the rest of it? Because it's so heavily in the New England area and along the coast that you almost don't see anything. And there's almost nothing west. There's only a few schools east of even Illinois. It's a very East Coast sport. But that created really fierce rivalries that really laid the foundation for Hobart, as they were playing so many New York schools in the upstate area. And throughout most of the 20th century, Hobart was respected, but they weren't really a powerhouse yet. The team had solid records, but never really blew anything out the water and didn't win championships. That was until Jerry Schmidt came to the school in 1968, created a major shift. He was a 2-time All-American at Johns Hopkins, and Johns Hopkins is known as a powerhouse in Division I lacrosse. And they're consistently one of the best lacrosse schools out there. But he brought that level of discipline and ambition to the program that he experienced at Johns Hopkins to Hobart. And under Schmidt, Hobart's record soared. And for 11 years that he was there, he won 142 games, only losing 34. And they won 5 straight national titles from 1974 to 1978. And in 1972, they actually won their very first national title, finishing 17-1, defeating Washington of Maryland College, 15-12. And in that year, they outscored nearly every opponent by 10 goals on average, which showed their dominance, featuring 5 All-Americans on that team and 8 future Hall of Famers. And then in 1979, they actually hired Dave Urich as co-head coach, and he would fully take over the team in 1980 as Schmidt would retire, and he became the architect of Hobart's greatest era. Under Urich, Hobart won an astonishing 10 consecutive national championships, including the very first NCAA national championship for Division III in 1980. And they would go on to win 13 championships in 14 years. And he had a record of 122-30 over his coaching career while at Hobart. And they weren't only good, they were dominant. They would blow out teams in the Division III level. Now, the NCAA has different divisions. Division I, we all know those schools. Those are the schools that play basketball in March Madness. They're Division I and can give full scholarships out, same as in lacrosse. Division II can give partial scholarships. Usually not full scholarship is given, but they're still able to give athletic scholarships. And Division III is what's known as pay to play. You can get financial aid, you can get academic scholarships, or any other kind of scholarship to the school besides athletic. It is purely you are paying or you are getting a scholarship to the school, and then you can play. But many think that because of this, Division III isn't as good. But that's not true. Division III can be very, very good players. And at any sport, Division III can go pro and has gone pro or even won medals in the Olympics. Division III isn't just a joke. It is quality competition, and sometimes people go there for the great education. And they wouldn't stay at Division III forever. See, in the 22 years between 1972 and 1994, they won 13 championships. And if they didn't win the championship, they at least made the semifinals, which is a crazy thing to think about. That's how good they were. And Rick left after the 1989 season. B.J. O'Hare continued the streak for another 2 years in 1990 and 1991 and would win another one in 1993. But in 1995, Hobart made a huge decision to elevate their lacrosse program from Division III to not Division II, Division I. And the main reason was to keep their historic rivalries against schools like Syracuse and Cornell. That shows how the culture of these rivalries and the regional pull of this sport was that they wanted to battle these schools that were bigger than them continuously. And their rivalry from Syracuse is the longest standing rivalry in college lacrosse, being played every year since 1916. It's often billed as a David versus Goliath matchup, but Hobart is no underdog, and they do not just roll over to Syracuse, who is a powerhouse in Division I. But Hobart hasn't been a powerhouse in Division I. They're a small school, again, only 1,600 undergrads, compared to Syracuse, who has 15,000 undergrads. Just that number alone should tell the difference between the two schools. Since their jump to Division I, they've had good seasons, but they haven't had the success that they had to Division III. And the reason for that is it takes time to build up. They have actually made the NCAA tournament 5 times since their jump up to Division I, including winning their conference tournament in 2016 and winning their regular season conference championship in 2000, 2002, and 2017. Now, they've mostly hovered around 500, being in Division I, and because of this, some of their board wanted to drop back down to Division III, and they actually voted because of this due to competition and financial pressure. However, the passionate outcry from alumni and the lacrosse community caused them to reverse their decision just days later and stay in Division I to keep those rivalries going. And after that, they actually had some of their best seasons. In 2019, they actually had their best season, winning 11 games, finishing second in their conference. And in 2020, they probably could have had their best season, finishing 4-1. They led the nation in scoring, averaging 19.6 goals a game before their season was tragically cut short. And unfortunately, they're still struggling to find their way in Division I. It's a tough road to go when you're such a small school, but they truly are focused on continuing the success and their rivalry and their closeness to the community of lacrosse in upper state New York. And their program knows how to be a powerhouse. It just takes some time to get there. It took them over 70 years to get there at Division III, so it just may take a little while to get there at Division I. I want to thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way for us to grow. And by sharing it with a friend, we can bring you even more sports history. And come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History.